Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is non-Messianic channel. This is reading through the TANAK. Wednesday night, the 2nd of July, 2023. We'll be dealing with the death of Isaac. We'll be coming out of the Book of Jubilees. So those that don't know, this is our sister channel from Prophets of Awakening, because we received a strike on Prophets of Awakening, so we had a it's gonna last a week. So we're gonna come over here until this time next week and deal with our situation with the strike. They say that we said something pertaining to the jab that we shouldn't have said, so gave me a strike. Okay, so you can go to our Prophets of Awakening channel and check out our videos. And you also can come here to non-Messianic. We have videos on the non-Messianic channel too. And we also have another channel, Israel Wake Up. Videos over there too, okay? So all the channels are non-Messianic. And by that I mean we're dealing with the Tanakh, so-called Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah, first 5 books of the Old Testament, which is the law that was given to Moses. Shalom and welcome to our reading through the Tanakh session, and we're gonna do our normal, which is a moment of silence, a prayer, psalms. So we can do some current events, a little need to know information, and then we'll open it up to Q&A and comments. Then we'll go to our topic of discussion, which is we'll be dealing with the events that surround Isaac's death. That's coming out of the Book of Jubilees. Okay. So with that being said, this moment of silence for the Lord of hosts, and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. So, O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongs unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servants David, Solomon, Samuel, and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments and your testimony and your statutes with all our heart and soul. Okay, with all our heart and soul. For we desire, for all our heart and soul to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our prayer, and hide not thy face from us any longer. Peace be unto you. Okay. Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna read a psalm. Okay. I'm gonna read Psalm 67. It's let all the people praise thee. It's a psalm of one of David's chief musicians, which is Niganoth. I think I'm not butchering that. It says, God be merciful on us, bless us, and cause his face to shine upon us. Selah, that thy way may be known upon the earth, thy saving help among all nations. Let the people praise thee, O God, and let all the people praise thee. O let the nations be glad and sing for joy, for thou shalt judge the people righteously and govern the nations upon the earth. Selah, let the people praise thee, O God, and let all the people praise thee. Then shall the earth yield her increase, and God, even our God, own God, shall bless us. God shall bless us, and all the ends of the earth shall fear him. Okay? Any comments on that? Okay. With that being said, we'll go to current events.
The world waits with bated breath as the mysterious rapture sign becomes clear. An awesome ceremony for the third temple takes place, paving the way for a potentially earth-shaking revelation that could change the course of human history forever. A ceremony commemorating the completion or dedication of the third temple was just held, and the news story focused on this fact. The rapture sign at the center of the ritual is something that has special meaning in the eyes of those who hold certain religious or eschatological views. The Hebrew prophets predicted that the exiles of Israel would one day return, and that the temple would be rebuilt in the end times. Ezekiel, Isaiah, and Amos are just a few of the many prophets in the Hebrew Bible who predicted the return of the Jewish people to the land of promise and the rebuilding of the temple. Many believers have come to rely on these prophecies as essential tenets of their end times theology. The nations will acknowledge God's sanctity when the temple is permanently located among the Israelites, as stated in Ezekiel. The creation of the current state of Israel in 1948 gave new meaning to these predictions. The third temple is important because it will serve as the abode of God's heavenly presence on earth. Many Jewish and Messianic believers consider the third temple to be the physical location of God's divine presence, which has immense theological significance. The temple is more than just a building, it's also a spiritual hub where people can commune with the divine. According to Ezekiel, the Holy of Holies left the second temple during the prophet's lifetime, but it will return at some point in the future. Preparations for the third temple continue apace as the Jewish people return to the Holy Land in fulfillment of prophecy. A large number of Jews from all over the world are moving back to Israel, which is seen by believers in end-time prophecy as a fulfillment of biblical prophecies. Many of these predictions center on the foundation of the current state of Israel in 1948. The Temple Institute and the Temple Mount Faithful movement are just two of the Jewish groups that have been working hard to get ready for the rebuilding of the Third Temple by doing things like breeding a red heifer and making ceremonial clothes and vessels. Preparations for the reconstruction are underway, with the help of the Temple Institute and the Temple Mount Faithful movement. Two of the largest Jewish groups working toward their shared goal of constructing a third temple atop Jerusalem's Temple Mount are the Temple Institute and the Temple Mount Faithful movement. They played a major role in recreating the temple's holy vessels, preparing priests for their roles, and fighting for Jews' access to the Temple Mount. The political and theological sensitivity of the site, which is currently home to the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque, has presented formidable obstacles to these endeavors. In order to make the required sacrifices and welcome the divine presence, the third temple is essential. The importance of the...
So the Vanish holster, which you can actually see me
from the fact that it will serve as a temple for sacrifices. Some mitzvot, or commandments, can only be performed inside the temple grounds according to Jewish law. The ancient Jewish religion relied heavily on contributions and sacrifices of many kinds. It is believed that the restoration of the third temple is an essential step toward reestablishing these rituals and reestablishing a closer relationship with God. Before the return of the actual Messiah, the anti-Messiah, according to prophecies from both Daniel and the New Testament, will desecrate the third temple. The anti-Messiah Jewish and Christian eschatology, who is expected to oppose the real Messiah and taint the third temple before its destruction. His acts, including proclaiming himself to be God in the temple and upsetting the sacrificial system, are described in the book of Daniel and other New Testament texts, such as Matthew and Thessalonians. Many people refer to this time of desecration as the abomination of desolation. There are still obstacles to overcome, because the Dome of the Rock now sits atop the Temple Mount. The Dome of the Rock, a holy Islamic landmark, currently stands on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, blocking access to the area where the third temple would be built. Both Jews and Muslims place great religious and historical significance on the mount. Thus, any efforts to alter its status are met with tension and strife. The topic is very sensitive and difficult to resolve amicably due to the complicated political and religious sensitivities involved. Expectations of the coming of the Messiah are intrinsically tied with the completion of the third temple by many Jewish and Messianic believers. The Messiah is expected to play a major role in restoring the temple and ushering in a new period of peace and spiritual rejuvenation. Because of this conviction, people in these areas are filled with anticipation and hope. People's lives would be irrevocably changed if the third temple were built, yet its development has also spurred interfaith talks, and in some cases, confrontations. Conflict between Jews and Muslims over the Temple Mount has fueled political and theological tensions for centuries. Potential tensions and threats to regional peace have been highlighted by the Third Temple's construction and acknowledgement. The Third Temple ceremony was a historic event, and its repercussions are still being felt today across religious, political, and social spheres. Devotion and religious tourism. The rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem has attracted worshippers from all over the world. For devout believers, a visit to the temple's original location is a pilgrimage of great spiritual significance. Tourism and business have both benefited from the inflow of newcomers. For many, the Third Temple ritual is a concrete sign of the fulfillment of prophecy, leading to an increase in apocalyptic speculations and ideas. There have been heated discussions on whether or not the event conforms to the predictions made in many religious texts and among religious leaders and experts. In addition to its religious significance, the rebuilding of the Third Temple also has far-reaching political ramifications. Since the Temple Mount has always seen a sore spot in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, any new developments there are likely to make things worse. The political scene on a worldwide scale is also influenced by how different nations respond to and react to news of the Third Temple's acknowledgement and significance.
Okay. Any comments? Anybody got any comments on that? Yeah, I noticed from the information we was dealing with last night, when the guy was talking about how that this big thing going on with the so-called de-dollarization and the dollar collapsing, but he was breaking it down was that what's happening that nobody's really dealing with and not even really paying attention to it, but it's all currencies being collapsed. So like I said before, when you understand who Esau is and the reason that the Lord of hosts in heaven got a problem with Esau is usury. He's going against one of the Most High's biggest laws, which is the banking system. He's the one controlling the banking system, so he's the one that's he's collapsing the whole dollar. But the thing about it is when she gets zeroed in on it, you can see that they synchronize it with this temple and everything. Their objective is to rule the world, like I said, for 1,000 years from Jerusalem, with the temple, with a temple in place. They want the temple in place, the whole world coming to them for everything, and they controlling the whole world. And so, in order to do that, they're using the banking system. They collapsing everything. They got everybody on. Blast, and everybody participating on. It's the dollar, which is what they're the ones behind it. They're the ones set the dollar up when they set the dollar on as the #1 currency, and so they knowing what their plans was later on, it was going to collapse the dollar, which is going to collapse the whole global currencies. But like I said before, they trying to synchronize all this with these fake ass prophecies they got in place, and they synchronizing all up together to make it look like it's creator and behind it. He's the one doing it. So one of those two things two places I want to go to kind of shine a light on that. And one of them is they always go into this temple in Ezekiel 40. I'm gonna go there right quick. So you go to Ezekiel 40, right? And you'll see right here, it says Ezekiel saw a vision of the temple, right? It says in the 5th year of the 20, this Ezekiel 40 and 1. In the 5th year of the 20th year of the captivity. So they're in captivity in Babylon. In the captivity, in the beginning of the year, in the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year, after that, the city was smitten. In the self same day, the hand of the Lord was upon me and brought me thither. In the vision of God, brought me into the land of Israel and set me upon a very high mountain, by which was a frame of a city on the south. And he brought me thither, and behold, there was a man whose appearance was like the appearance of brass, with a line of flecks in his hand, and measured reed, and he stood in the gate. And the man said unto me, Son of man, behold, with thine eyes, and hear with thy ears, and set thine heart upon all that I shall show thee, for to the intent that I might show them unto thee, or thou brought hither. Declare all that thou seest to the house of Israel. And behold, a wall on the outside of the house round about, and in the man's hand a measuring reed of 6 cubits long, by a cubic and a hand breadth. So he measured the breadth of the building, 1 reed, and the height 1 reed. Then he came into the gate, which looked toward the east, and went up the stairs thereof and measured the threshold of the gate, which was 1 reed broad, and the other threshold of the gate, which was 1 reed broad. And every little chamber was 1 reed long and 1 reed broad, and between the little chambers were 5 cubits, and the threshold of the gate by the porch of the gate within was a reed. So what he's measuring is a temple. And this is where everybody goes. These Edomites, the rabbis, everybody go here saying this temple, third temple to be built. What you got to go back and look at Ezekiel in the captivity in Babylon. And the angel giving them a vision of Solomon temple. They're only going to be there for 70 years. So he giving Ezekiel, let's look at that first, then we go to Ezra. So if you go to Ezekiel chapter 1, I was listening to a brother last night, last couple of days, and like he said, which is facts, 95% of the stuff that he's been told, he's like close to 30 something. Said 95% he found out 95% of the stuff that was told him about been lies. We gotta rewire his whole mindset. Say, one lie is another one. So anyway, Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river Tabor, that the heavens were open. So this is when Zerubbabel was in the first group of people that went to Babylon. So he had captivity in Babylon. They're only going to be there 70 years. So the temple that he getting the vision of ain't no third temple. It's the temple of Zerubbabel temple. And this how these people tricked us out. How we know that? And like I said, look at these books. How these books been arranged. So how we know that? In Ezekiel, in Ezra chapter 1, right? Cyrus came. So Cyrus came after Zerubbabel, after Ezekiel, after the prophecies Ezekiel had in captivity, because he had the visions when, let's look at it right quick. Let me read it. So it says in verse 2 of Ezekiel 1 and verse 2, in the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity. So that's 5 years. They 5 years into the captivity in Babylon. Jehoiakim was taken out of David's lineage. He was king. He was taken to Babylon. by Nebuchadnezzar. So Cyrus ain't came yet. So Ezekiel had all these dreams and visions of this temple, and then we come to Ezra, chapter 1, verse 1. Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah. See that? All you gotta do is look at these characters. Cyrus and Jeremiah, all them, this is before Ezekiel. Because Jeremiah prophesied to them they were going into captivity. Then Ezekiel ended up in the captivity that Jeremiah prophesied about. Then Cyrus came at the end of it. So, like I said, this is like the brother was saying, it's one lie after another one. So he says, the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled. The Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom and put it in writing, saying, thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven, has given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he has charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Judea. This is the house right here that Ezekiel having visions of, that the Lord showing him. Gonna be rebuilt. When the Chaldeans came and tore it down for Solomon's temple. This ain't no temple in the future. And like I said, that the Antichrist, all that's already happened. After Solomon built this temple, the prince that shall come, in Daniel 9:26, came and tore down Solomon's temple. Antiochus, the Antichrist. So, like the brother says, lies on top of lies, and you got to get around all that. Okay? So let's keep going with this. Yeah, one more thing. So, like I was saying about the Edomites, if you go to, so what is being, because everything we see happening has been scriptures, it's been being fulfilled, but you got to find out what prophecy is being fulfilled. So when these Edomites went back over there in 1948, what prophecy was that? So if you go to Malachi, right, chapter 1, says, I told you the Antichrist was Antiochus, and he ran the Israelites out. And from that point on, 143 BC to 70 AD, Esau had stole the land and was living there. That's why Herod built the temple. The Edomite can't build no temple to create. So this temple Herod got is a bogus temple. Ain't no Israelites there. Creator ain't there. The Ark of the Covenant ain't there. None of that. So chapter 1 of Malachi says, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, says the Lord. Yet you say, when as thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Says the Lord. Yet I love Jacob. So why is he being Malachi? Why is he bringing up Esau? We're going to see in a minute. 3. And I hated Esau, and I laid his mountain and his heritage to waste for the dragon of the wilderness. Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, right? So you got to read this right. Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return, build the desolate places, right? This is in Jerusalem. Thus said the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall be called the borders of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord have indignation forever. Then he tell you where they at. Your eyes shall see, and ye shall say, the Lord will be magnified from the borders of Israel. So this is the final judgment in this age, is when he judged Esau. And he tell you right here in verse 5 where you're going to be at. You're going to be in the land of Israel, posing as Israelites, just like he did back in 143 BC to 70 AD. He was in the land. And the most, Lord of hosts ran him out by Antiochus, by Titus and Vespasian, ran him out. And they told him, we're going to come back. So they came back through a bunch of agreements and finagling and controlling the world financial system. They finagled these two world wars, and finally in the 1900s, right in the early part of the 1900s, they made an agreement to get the land of Israel, and they came back. It was good on their word right here in Malachi, and they came back in 1948. And like he says in verse 4, whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return, build the desert places. That's where they at. They're back over there, rebuilding. But the Most High says, though they build, said, but I will throw down, and they shall be called the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord have indignation forever. And your eyes shall see, and ye shall say, the Lord will be magnified from the border of Israel. So that's the prophecy. It's not no prophecy that Israel returning back to the land of Israel, the second Exodus. No, this is a prophecy right here in Malachi that got fulfilled in 1948. And so, like I said, they got a plan. We see it right here. They say they coming back, and they're gonna rebuild the desert places. And like I said, they want to rule. They want to rule the world from Jerusalem for 1,000 years. That's their whole objective. It's what all the drama you see going on, they orchestrating it. They're behind the scenes pulling the strings, making it happen. They bringing down the whole world by bringing down the dollar. They set it up like that. You got everybody focusing on all this other stuff that's going on, but like I said, their objective is when the dust settles, they gonna be the ones ruling the world. They gonna have the number one currency. That's their objective. Okay. In comments, we play a little more of this.
On the flip side, the ceremony has sparked new attempts to promote mutual understanding among different faiths through conversation and ritual. There has been an effort by religious leaders to work together to overcome historical and theological disputes to foster peace, tolerance, and respect. Efforts in architecture and archaeology. Building the Third Temple has been fraught with logistical and design difficulties. The project calls for meticulous preparation, a commitment to traditional architectural traditions, and an awareness of the site's religious and cultural significance. The initiative has also brought increased interest to the area's ongoing archaeological excavations. Public and media-focused media outlets have extensively covered and analyzed the events surrounding the construction of the Third Temple. Both interest and debate have been sparked by the topic's extensive coverage in the media and internet communities.
Right, so that's how you operate. You can be finagling the currency and all that with the banking system, and he wooing all the people with the media. And he putting them to sleep. And we, the average person don't know. We got a prime example last night when we was reading about out of Jasher, how off the sorcerers and the wise men of the Pharaoh at the time when Joseph was in Egypt, when Pharaoh had the dream of the 7 cows and the 7 ears of corn. They gave him all kind of interpretations. All of them was off. All of them was whacked out. We're in the same predicament right now. We listening to all this mumbo jumbo, and they don't have no clue on what the hell they talking about. They off. They dressed up, with the gab on, looking like a righteous man or priest or whatever, but they can't bust a grape. So that was our example last night. Okay. Okay, we got another current event right here. Like I said, keep your eyes on Africa. They're making a move right now.
Foreign intervention in West Africa, in
West
particular
Africa.
in the country of Niger, where a pro-Western government was overthrown. This is a region of the world that is very rich in natural resources and is also very strategic for the United States and France. Of course, France colonized West Africa and still maintains many neo-colonial policies, which I'll be discussing today. But also, the United States has one of its largest and most important drone bases based in Niger, And Niger is one of the world's largest producers of uranium, and uranium is used for European energy, especially France, a country that has a lot of nuclear energy. As well, Niger is a major producer of gold. So the possibility of a foreign military intervention in Niger and potentially other West African nations is very seriously on the table. It is a threat that many countries in West Africa are taking seriously. And we have seen statements from neighboring countries of Niger that have similar governments, like in Burkina Faso and also in Mali, that have said that if there is a foreign intervention, they would consider this a declaration of war. The possibility of war breaking out in West Africa is very real. And as is pretty much always the case, Western powers are the ones fueling the fire of this conflict and threatening war. Let's not forget that this is a region where there were very recent examples of Western military intervention. In 2013 and 2014, France led a military intervention in Mali, a neighbor of Niger. And in 2011, NATO, led by the United States with the support of France and Canada and other European nations, destroyed the central government of Libya that was led by the revolutionary leader Muammar Gaddafi. They killed Gaddafi, and still today, a decade later, Libya has no central government. It's been in a state of civil war, and now there's a possibility of the Western powers expanding that conflict to the west and to the south, to the Sahel region. So today we're going to talk about what's going on in Niger, also in Burkina Faso and Mali and Guinea, and the threats of Western military intervention. Now, I will clarify at the beginning here, I am definitely not an Africa expert. I would never claim to be an Africa expert, but I've done a lot of research on these events, and I want to talk about the geopolitical and economic implications and how this is part of a larger international campaign by the United States and by European colonial powers to reassert a kind of neo-colonial policy, politically and economically, in particular on resource-rich countries in the global south. Africa is an extremely resource-rich continent, and the Western powers have relied on exploiting its mineral wealth and exploiting the labor of African workers in order to get rich and in order to maintain their riches and their inequality.
So you see what's happening, right? They like flies, maggots, man. They not it's on one end they still trying to act like they getting along, want to get along and want to do right, but at the same time they still trying the same thing. We go back to what happened with the Pharaoh. He just never got it. So the Most High dropped the hammer on him. That's what we see. That's what we at. They're not getting it because they got you all. The average person caught all up in all these bullshit ass prophecies that already happened, and half of them don't even not even prophecies. We caught up in that, but we see right here the Most High then put his foot down, but they ain't getting it. They steady trying to come up. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Shalom. I wanted to ask a question. I don't know if it's biblically related, but the leaders in Africa now, are they possibly of the other 10 tribes?
Oh yeah. A lot of them, like Nigeria is Nigeria is Ephraim. That's why there's the hatred. That's why there's so much hatred between Nigeria and America, the Nigerians and the Americans. They Judah, Americans are Judah. That was brought over here. Judah was predominantly Judah, and Nigeria is Ephraim. So that's what he's talking about right here. Let me read it. And like I said, most people they can't see this because they trying to deal with the New Testament. But he says in Ezekiel 37, right? You had something else?
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask again. Now, I thought it was Judah and the Levites that was expelled and cast abroad, and the other 10 was still in Africa.
Yeah, it
tribes.
was. Yeah, that's why I say Nigeria is Ephraim. Joseph children. So,
Right, but I'm sorry, excuse me. Judah, the tribe of Judah and the Levites are the tribes that has been dispersed all over the world.
and Benjamin.
Okay.
Benjamin, Levi, and Judah. That's the children. That's the children of Jerusalem.
Okay.
Those are tribes that was in the southern kingdom. And so we the ones that's the head, and so the head reaped the punishment. So that's why they were scattered. But the 10 tribes had already went. If you know the story, the 10 tribes had already went into captivity for what they was doing when they took them to Assyria. Then he took the southern kingdom and went to Babylon for their punishment. And then they came back, and we see in the book of Ezra, when they came back, started migrating back, by the time Ezra got there, they had picked back up with what they was doing already. They had married, intermingled with the people of the Canaanites and the people of the land. So they had picked right back up. That's why Antiochus came, because he was through with them. Right. So I was in chapter 37 of Ezekiel, and this is why he's saying what he's saying right here. It says 37:15, and the word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, moreover, thou son of man, take one stick, write upon it for Judah, and for the children of Israel and his companions. Then another stick, and write upon it for Joseph, and the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions, and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in our hand. That's what he's talking about. So what's going on is always been controversy between Judah and Ephraim. Both of them are head tribes because of the blessings that's on Joseph. It's where Ephraim came from, and Judah is from Jacob. So both of those are head tribes. So when the tension was already there, so when Solomon did what he did, the Most High caused a split, and he gave the 10 tribes with Ephraim over it, the tribe of Ephraim over them, and then he had Judah over Levi and Benjamin, and that split and that hatred still there to the day until the Most High fix it, and that's what he's doing right here. And he bring us back. Okay, that answer the question. Okay, so we're gonna go to let me get this right here. Yeah, let me play this right here, and then we go into our Q&A.
That's going to touch on why Africans, in order for them to get out of poverty, they will have to reject the Christianity that was given to them by the white supremacists. Square road.
Africans will never be able to fight poverty as long as Christianity exists. In fact, African Christianity glorifies poverty. It has Africans out there thinking that the more you suffer, even if it's financially, the closer you are to God. Because God only tests his strongest soldiers. We have Africans thinking that they don't want to be that rich because all those people that are rich sold their soul to the devil. And that is why the rich are becoming richer, which is capitalism. But then they don't really want to look at the real problem, but then always stand and say that it is God. How many times have we seen road accidents happening and killing breadwinners and leaving families in poverty? And then instead of blaming the government and making the government build better roads, we turn and say that blood had to be spilled for sacrifices, because those roads, certain areas, during a certain period of time in a year, blood is always spilled, and we blame the worshippers or something like that, instead of preventing more death, and thus preventing poverty. African Christianity has taught Africans that a parent is like a second God. And if you want blessings from your parents or blessings from God, you should bless your parents first. We have Africans in their 20s and that is not being able to make any amount of money because they always have to send money home. And no. I'm not talking about sending money so that your parents can eat. I'm talking about sending your mother money and she uses that money in church, helping the pastor buy a new car or build a new church, a bigger one, so that he can be able to make more profit. Or buy church gowns. You know, the church gowns that they buy because they joined a new group and every group needs a new church gown. And they pressure you so much that you cannot be able to save anything. Because she's in St. Teresa, Chama, and it needs money. She's in St. Benedict, and it needs a gown. African Christianity has women staying with alcoholics and perishing in poverty because they've been told they're supposed to pray for their husband. Even if they're going to pray for the husband for the next 20 or 30 years until he changes, and they raise the kids in poverty and expect the kids to help them because they struggle, because they made a lot of sacrifices. And now we have kids in their 20s and 30s who can't really do anything with their life because they have to give back to their alcoholic dad and their mom who raised them in poverty. We had Christians selling their property a few years ago because they thought that the world was coming to an end. That's the birth of more poverty. We had women giving birth to as many kids as they could because their churches told them that family planning is not the right way. It's against God's plan. And kids are blessing from God.
The white supremacist has always weaponized Christianity against black people, even here in America. Well, how they weaponize it, they always try to glorify poverty, just like over there. Oh, well, it's a blessing to not have much or nothing, while the white supremacists living high on the hall. Oh, turn the other cheek. You understand what I'm saying? The white supremacists don't turn the other cheek, right? We prioritize ourselves as being so honorable and moral, which we should be, but the white supremacists don't do that. He is the most vile and evil and dirty entity on the planet Earth. Look at all the land he stole, resources he stole, and continues to steal to this day. People he stole. But yet, he's sitting up here and talking about he worships a God. Let me tell you something, though. The God that the white supremacists worship is not the God of the Bible, okay? I'm not saying that God isn't real. I'm not saying even the scriptures not true. I'm not saying that at all. I'm talking about the interpretations the white supremacists gave our people. What they said in the African continent constantly, they came in with the Bible in their hands and gave it to us while we were praying. They said we had the Bible and they took our land. Just that simple. And that was a plan to get you off of your land, to get you out of, notice how they demonize African spirituality, how they demonize the African religions. They demonize that. All the different forms of things they would practice. Some people practice voodoo, some people practice all kind of different things, right? They were so afraid of a lot of that. So the way they got you off of that is to make you believe their version of Christianity. And that's how.
Okay. Any comments on that? Yeah, so you notice how you got so many people that's in denial. They keep on they're saying as if it's another Christianity. They see what's going on with Christianity, but that's not the original Christianity. It's another Christianity. They can't see it for what it is. It's wicked as hell and pagan. And that's another Christianity. Okay, and so that brings me to, like I was saying, I was listening to a couple of people over the last couple of days, and got me to thinking about the brother was saying that the Deuteronomy 28. We associate. We waking up now, and we looking at the curses and we're applying them to us over here, right? Which is cool. But the brother is saying how stop and think and look at it. Look at the curses. And first of all, he went to the blessings first. And the blessings was saying how that I'm going to have you on high. If you listen to my words, not just the commandments, but my words, everything I say, you'll be on high and you'll be living high. And then went to the curses, and he said you'll be at the bottom of the food chain. So then the brother showed the poverty in America. Then he showed poverty in Africa. And poverty in Africa over in America is a cakewalk. Because like he said, we can go get assistance. We getting food stamps and all that. That's the real curses over there. It started. That's where it went down there. When the Most High prophesied it, it happened in Africa. And he started showing you all that. And so our poverty ain't shit compared to the poverty that's over there. He showed the ghettos where they living at, and then where we living at over here. And that's how they showing how that's how they do this. So I got another video I'm gonna play in a minute after I open up the this goes back to the lies that just gotta register. I mean all the lies that's been told that we gotta shake off. Atlantis. I always talk about this in certain conversations on the channel about if you just look at even from Google Earth, I mean, it's a big old like a desolate spot at the top of Africa. And when the Most High created the earth, it wasn't like that. Where all that desolation and sand come from that's in the Sahara. Something happened there. Because that's not how he created. He said, and then come to Africa too. The whole place, that whole area, they've even did scientific research and showed that whole area was tropical, all of Africa. So something happened. So I'll play that video in a minute, and the guy showing you that they found this structure over in Mauritania, which is Atlantis. It's Atlantis. It's right there. It's part of West Africa. Yeah. So then when you look at it, and then you look at all the stories where they say that the Egyptian civilization was the people that left from Atlantis. They left Atlantis and they went over there, right over there, and that's where Egypt came from the remnants of Atlantis. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So yeah, let me play this right here. This is another sign right here. I don't think nobody really know paying attention to it. Check it out.
I always say that you never know when you're going to have a situation like what we had a few years back and what we're still dealing with, just not, out there like that. But this is a new one. This is an old disease, but it's new. It's back out there. Okay, so be careful. It says leprosy has been uncommon in the United States, but studies suggest it is now spreading within its population. Leprosy is surging in Florida, suggesting the chronic infectious disease may have become endemic in the southeastern United States.
In the South.
The number of cases more than doubled in the southeastern states over the last decade, with Florida among the top reporting states. The Centers for Disease Control, CDC, reported that. Central Florida, in particular, accounted for 81% of cases reported in Florida and almost 1/5 of nationally reported cases. Is leprosy common in the United States? It says leprosy has been historically uncommon in the United States. The annual number of documented cases peaked around 1983 before dropping. However, reports suggest the incidence of the disease gradually increased again and more than doubled in the southeastern states over the last 10 years. I know a lot of my Bible readers out there, because they like to say and let y'all know it's happening. It's happening. Scientists are not completely sure why the disease is spreading in parts of the United States, including Florida. The disease is likely transmitted via droplets through coughs and sneezes and through prolonged contact with others. It does not spread through casual physical contact like shaking hands or sitting next to a person on a bus. And that's according to the CDC, but we know how far we can trust them with they back and forth of do this, don't do that, do not do this, no, don't do that. It says, while animals such as 9-banded armadillos can also carry the bacteria, studies suggest recent cases in Georgia and Central Florida could not be linked to animals or international travel. The CDC cited the case of a 54-year-old man treated for leprosy who lives in Central Florida and did not travel domestically or internationally. He is also not known to have had prolonged contact with any individual returning from countries at risk. The man worked in landscaping and spent long periods outdoors, meaning traditional risks were absent. How dangerous is leprosy?
Very.
Leprosy primarily affects the skin and peripheral nervous system. The course of the disease is largely dependent on individual susceptibility. The main symptoms include the growth of nodules on the skin, muscle weakness or paralysis, nosebleeds, and eye problems that may lead to blindness. So what do you need to do? It is usually treated with a combination of antibiotics that kill the bacteria that cause leprosy, and the therapy cycle lasts between 1 to 2 years. The illness can be cured if treatment is completely followed as prescribed. If left untreated, however, the nerve damage can result in paralysis and the crippling of hands and feet. So y'all, this is serious. Be careful out there. I told y'all it's a lot of...
Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody know anything about that?
Shalom. No, I didn't. Wow.
Okay. Sound like the
Wow,
Most High.
I
What you
didn't
think?
hear that.
Say that again, Brother Leonard.
Sound like Lord of Hosts to me.
Right.
Florida?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah,
They
there was a
funny.
young lady talking about it on TikTok about 2 months ago, and she was talking about how the skin is, about the children or the people who has the white, the skin and the hair, and they can't come out. It used to that they didn't come out when it was really bright. I cannot remember the word for the individuals that they just can't tan at all. They're called
Albinos?
Lago?
yes, but they're also because their hair is bleachy blonde, and they're black people too.
Right.
Yeah, those, and they were speaking on it, and then she was talking more into the leprosy, and here it is on the news.
Okay. So somebody else had something? Yeah, okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions, comments, or anything they want to bring up or point out? Okay, everybody good. Yeah, so I'm gonna play this video talking it's like I'm like, wow, it's dealing with Atlantis. I'll give you the name of it because pictures are worth 1,000 words.
This discussion is about the legendary ancient civilization of Atlantis. Atlantis was spectacularly advanced and was the place to be on this earth for many centuries, if not for thousands of years. We've known about Atlantis for many years, and
like I said, this is where the 200 angels was at.
have
Okay. Okay.
always seen and represented in media and in Hollywood as being extremely ancient, extremely advanced technologically and socially, and situated somewhere outside the African continent. Here at the African History Station, we've always took that narrative with a heavy pinch of salt because as Africa is the cradle of civilization, it would be most strange for such an advanced ancient civilization of 10,000 plus years to be located anywhere else but on the African continent. And our doubts appear to have been well founded because in the middle of the West African desert, in the nation of Mauritania, has been discovered a site that meets every single criteria for what the ruins of Atlantis.
In the middle of the Sahara Desert. There go your problem right there. That's why it looked like that. He got judged. Just like he judged Sodom and Gomorrah.
This should look like today. It is called the Reichenbach structure. When this structure came to light, researchers were stunned. Many concluded that it was indeed the site of the legendary capital city of Atlantis. The legend of Atlantis was first reported to the world by the Africans of Kemet, or ancient Egypt. Solon, the Greek statesman and lawmaker who lived from 638 to 558 BC, visited Egypt and was told by the African priest Sonchis that a highly advanced city of Africans had existed to the southwest of Egypt and that it was named Atlantis. He told him that the capital city was destroyed in an earthquake over 9,000 years earlier. So we're talking about a 12 to 13,000 year old city from our standpoint.
Now, let me shine a light on something right quick to show you how, like I said, how you could have trained a baboon, you know, to figure this out. Okay, so there's no way they could have told us from what they say about us that we subhuman and all that. There's no way they had to take Atlantis out of Africa. But like the brother was just said, where the hell else could it possibly have been? But in Africa. And so they had to take it out because of, like he said, we the intelligent beings. It's been shown over and over again just from when they brought us here. All the inventions that we made over here. So they had to take it out. They had to take it from there. But the thing about this is what I was saying. These gods, the gods that the Egyptians got, right? In a minute, this guy gonna tell you, they told him. Said the Tahuti, which is one of the gods of Egypt, said he had to fly away from. He had to fly away from. You hear me? He had to fly away from Atlantis. Then he came to Egypt. He had to fly away from Atlantis. Come on. And so this is where the Black Panther come from. That's why they making Black Panther this high-tech civilization in Africa. They know all this. Okay.
Sonchis told Solon stories about a series of ancient empires that had existed on Earth, natural catastrophes that made them crumble, and great wars that had raised civilization in the past. During his time in the city of Kemet, Solon learned great information about Atlantis from Sonchis, who described the incredible size and wealth of this African empire.
You're hovering, wondering if you click buy or book, is your personal info going to be safe? With Worry?
So notice he said African Empire.
Atlantis' capital city was elaborately constructed with great temples and palaces and adorned by exotic gardens made of silver, gold, and ivory. Sonchis further described the capital of the Atlantean Empire as being made of massive walls, which in turn were surrounded by circular islands protecting the inner citadel of the metropolis. This information on Atlantis was passed down to Greek philosopher Plato, who lived about 300 years after Solon. Plato described the city of Atlantis in his two works, Timaeus and Critias, which he wrote around 350 BC. He described it as concentric rings of water and land, 3 rings of water, 2 rings of land. It is the exact same today as the Reichstag structure, which researchers believe is the site of the legendary metropolis. Plato wrote that the mighty empire vanished beneath the waves after a series of excessively violent earthquakes and floods, and he wrote that this happened.
Ain't that what happened to Solomon and Gomorrah? Come on.
In one single day and night. On the ancient map of the world drawn by Herodotus in 450 BC, he has Atlantis exactly where the Reichstag structure is. The city of Atlantis was described by Plato to be 24 miles across, which is the exact size of the Reichstag structure. Atlantis was also reported to have had an opening to the sea at the south, and here we can see it on the Reichstag structure. 11,000 years ago, the Sahara Desert did not exist. It was a land of greenery, of lakes and cities. 11,000 years ago, what we know today as the world's largest hot desert would have been unrecognizable. The now desiccated northern strip of Africa was once green and alive, poked with lakes, rivers, grasslands, and even forests, wrote an expert from the Smithsonian Institute. And scientists are stating that the desert appeared in an instant rather than over thousands of years, as previously thought. And radar images taken of the Mauritanian desert showed a 500-kilometer river running right through it, meaning plant life and wildlife once thrived in the area, which is now desert. According to Plato, in Atlantis, there was an abundance of metal, copper, and gold. And look here, the major products in Mauritania today are iron, copper, and gold. Phew. In his work, Critias, Plato wrote, "Let me begin by observing, first of all, that 9,000 was the sum of years which had elapsed since the war which was said to have taken place between those who dwelt outside the pillars of Heracles and all who dwelt within them. This war I am going to describe of the combatants on the one side. The city of Athens was reported to have been the leader and to have fought out the war. The combatants on the other side were commanded by the kings of Atlantis, which, as was saying, was an island greater in extent than Libya and Asia, and when afterwards sunk by an earthquake, became an impassable barrier of mud to voyagers sailing from hence to any part of the ocean. So Atlantis was reported by Plato to be an island, but the word island had several meanings in the Greek language of the days of Solon and Plato. According to scholars, it could also mean a peninsula or a land within a continent surrounded by rivers, lakes, or streams. Furthermore, according to research, Plato describes Atlantis to have ruled Libya as far as to the borders of Egypt. That means Atlantis must have been located west of Libya, and Libya itself must already have been part of the Atlantean territory based on water cycle stability and paleoclimate data. Researchers then reconstructed the desertification process in North Africa following the Green Sahara, an abrupt dry-out in the Atlas Basin, and a gradual desert expansion afterwards powered by trade winds and westerlies. With a gradual desert expansion from northwest to southeast, people living in the Sahara were squeezed to the Nile Valley. The population conglomeration gave birth to the dynastic Egyptian civilization, which started about 5,000 years ago, shortly after the end of the last Green Sahara. The legendary first king of Mauritania, where the eye of the Sahara is located, was named Atlas, which had to be where the name Atlantis came from. The word Atlantis literally means the city of Atlas. The Atlas Mountains, as they were known, are also located north of the Reichstag structure, which confirms Plato's testimony that mountains with rivers flowing around them were to the north of Atlantis. Here you can actually see the size of the flooding that affected the city. The buildings were said to be made of red, white, and black rock, according to Plato, and look what researchers have found there. Relics of red, white, and black rock. Huge amounts of salt deposits have also been found in the Reichstag structure, which prove that the place was once flooded over, just like Plato stated. In addition, the geographical features in the Atlas Basin are compared with Plato's account on Atlantis with a perfect match, according to research. King Atlas was said to be skilled in philosophy, mathematics, and astronomy. Some Asian reports actually credit him with being the inventor of astronomy. So the Reichstag structure was once Atlantis, we believe, and it is washed away and very little is left visible. But it certainly matches Plato's description quite perfectly as regards the size, location, shape, and so on. Herodotus wrote about the Atlantis tribe being at that location. Herodotus, known as the father of history, predates Plato, and here, a 45 AD Roman map indicates Atlante at that location where the right side structure is. Plato also wrote that Atlantis was beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which is the Strait of Gibraltar, close to the right side structure. Some people have cast doubts historically over the actual existence of Atlantis, but here at the African History Station, we have no reason to disbelieve the Africans of Kemet who reported these facts to Solon, or that a serious scholar like Solon invented the story out of thin air, not least because the founding Egyptians carved in stone that they were survivors of an advanced civilization to the southwest of Egypt, which had been destroyed in a cataclysm. They had migrated to Egypt to restart their civilization. In the Emerald Tablets of Jehuti, known also as the god Thoth, said he flew away from Atlan to bring civilization to Kemet. Furthermore, all the evidence shows that the Egyptians were highly civilized from the get-go, right from the very beginning of their civilization, roughly 6,000 years ago. This meant they must have migrated from a region that was already highly advanced. Now in Egypt, it is notorious that there is no indication of any early period of savagery or barbarism. All the authorities agree that however far back we go, we find in Egypt no rude or uncivilized time out of which civilization is developed. Menes, the first king, changes the course of the Nile, makes a great reservoir, and builds the temple of Ptah at Memphis. We see no barbarous customs, not even the habit, so slowly abandoned by all people, of wearing arms when not in military service.
Okay. Any comments on that? Okay, that's all. You want to check it out? Like I said, pictures with 1,000 words, but it's West Africa Empire of Atlantis. You want to check that out. So, I mean, it's like right there in your face. It's crazy, man. It's just been lying all over the place. And then, if you've been checking out these movies whenever they come out, like back when I first started, Most High first started dealing with me, I was telling you about. I went and watched The Passion of Christ, and then right after that, they came out with the movie Noah, right? And then so on the movie Noah, they had these the fallen angels. I mean, these angels, the angels that came down from heaven they had them like they was giants, but they was like rock creatures. They were made out of rock. But that didn't. I mean, that didn't really sit well with me. But the thing that really dazzled me was what Noah was living at, and that whole region was like the Sahara. It was like the way they were showing it was like it had been judged or something. And I was like, what is the way? Why would they show that like that? But it was the Sahara. You know what I mean? And it's sad. Listen, then if you go to Black Panther, the way they have the city of Wakanda, the city and the empire, the way it's shaped, is just like Atlantis. They know all that. You know, it never did. It always baffled me, like I said, from the way all the things they've done to us, all the laws that in passed saying that we was 2/3 human. Why would out the blue you make a movie about Africa with a futuristic city like Wakanda? It's the only thing making sense. They already knew all that. It's just they pouring Kool-Aid on our head, thinking we weren't gonna get it. Okay. Any comments on that? Okay. Yeah. So if I have no comments, I'm gonna start reading out of like I said, the topic that's in for discussion is the death of Isaac, the time when Isaac's life was coming to an end. So I'm in Book of Jubilees, chapter 36. It says, in the 6th year of this week, Isaac called his 2 sons, Esau and Jacob, and they came to him, and he said to them, my sons, I am going the way of my fathers to the eternal house where my fathers are. So let's look at that right there. So it's a house in Jerusalem. The Lord of hosts, God is in Jerusalem, keep telling them about his house. So this ain't the house they're going to. That's my point. I keep on trying to shine a light on. So this ain't the house. It's another house in heaven. Yahweh, the house that's in Jerusalem, belongs to the Lord of hosts. So I'm going to read again. He says, in the 6th year this week, Isaac called his 2 sons, Esau and Jacob, and they came to him, and he said to them, my sons, I am going the way of thy fathers. That's Abraham and Enoch and all of them. They're not in the temple in Jerusalem, right? So it says, I am going the way of my fathers to an eternal house where my fathers are, that's in heaven, the temple up there, right? Bury me near Abraham, my father, in a double cave in the field of Ephraim the Hittite, where Abraham purchased a sepulchre to bury in. Bury me in the sepulchre I dug for myself. I command you, my sons, to practice righteousness and uprightness on the earth, so that the Lord may do to you what he said he would do to Abraham and to his offspring. Love one another. Love your brothers as a man who loves his own soul. Let each seek how he may benefit his brother and act together on the earth. And let them love each other as their own soul. I command and warn you to reject idols, hate them, and do not love them. They are fully deceptive to those that worship them, for those that bow down to them, and those that bow down to them. Remember the Lord God of Abraham, the father, and how I worship him and served him in righteousness and in joy, that God might multiply you and increase your offspring as the multitude of the stars in heaven, and establish you on the earth as a plan of righteousness, which will not be rooted out to all generations. So let's go back and look at this. Verse 6. Remember the Lord God of Abraham, your father, and how I worship him and served him in righteousness and in joy, that God might multiply you and increase your offspring. Look at this. Increase your offspring, more than one. He ain't talking about one person. Increase your offspring as the multitude of the stars in heaven, to establish you on the earth as a plant of righteousness. See that? So the plant of righteousness is all of Israel. So go to Isaiah 53. You're going to grow up as a plant. Okay? See that? Verse 7. And now I shall make you swear a great oath, for there is no oath which is greater than that which is by thy name, glorious, honored, great, splendid, wonderful, and mighty, which created the heavens and the earth and all things together, that you will fear him and worship him. Each will love his brother with affection and righteousness. Neither will desire to do evil against his brother from now on forever, all the days of your life, so that you may prosper in all your deeds and not be destroyed. If either of you plan evil against his brother, know that he that plans evil shall fall into his brother's hands and shall be rooted out of the land of the living, and his offspring shall be destroyed from the under heaven. But on that day there will be turbulence, curses, wrath, anger, and will he burn his land and his city and all that is his with a devouring fire, like the fire he sent to burn Sodom, and he shall be blotted out of the book of disciplines of the children of men, and he will not be recorded in the book of life. He shall be added in the book of destruction. He shall depart into eternal curses. Their condemnation may be always renewed in hate and in curses and in wrath and in torment and in anger and in plagues and in diseases forever. So that's the only way he comes. Like I said, we see the leprosy then resurface. It ain't hard to figure out who it is. It's the only way he comes. Same way he came in Egypt. So I want to shine a light on something in verse 10. It says, but on that day there will be turbulence, curses, wrath, anger, and, and he will burn his land. See that? Go back to what we just talking about. Atlantis. So we know that was the fallen angels doing. So it wasn't gonna stand long. Sodom didn't stand long. So he says, but on that day there will be turbulences, curses, wraths, anger, and he will burn his land and his city, and all that is with it a devouring fire like the fire that he sent to burn Sodom, and he shall be blotted out of the book of disciplines of the children of men, and he will not be recorded in the book of life. He shall be added to the book of destruction. He shall depart into eternal curses. That condemnation may be always renewed in hate, and in curses, and in wrath, and in torment, and in anger, and in plagues, and in diseases thereof. Like I said, that's the only way it comes. So, my sons, this I say, and I testify to you, will be the results according to the judgment which shall come on the man who wishes to injure his brother. Then he divided all his possessions between the two on that day, and he gave the larger portion to him that was the firstborn, and the tower, and all that was around it, and all that Abraham possessed at the well of oak. And he said, this larger portion I will give to the firstborn. Esau said, I have sold and relinquished my birthright to Jacob. Let it be given to him. I have nothing to say regarding it, for it is his. Isaac said, may a blessing rest on you, my sons, and on your offspring this day. You have given me rest, and my heart is not pained concerning the birthright, or that you should work wickedness because of it. May the Most High God bless the man and his offspring forever that does righteousness. He stopped commanding them and blessing them, and they ate and drank together in front of him, and he rejoiced because there was one mind between them. And they went out from him and rested that day and slept. Isaac slept on his bed that day rejoicing. He slept eternal sleep and died 180 years old. Okay. He lived 25 weeks and 5 years, and his two sons, Esau and Jacob, buried him. After that, Esau went to the land of Edom, to the mountains of Seir, and lived there. Jacob lived in the mountains of Hebron, in the high place of the land in which his father Abraham had journeyed. He worshipped the Lord with all his heart. He had divided the days of his generation according to the commands he had seen. Leah, his wife, died in the 4th year of the 2nd week of the 45th Jubilee, and he buried her in a double cave near Rebekah, his mother, to the left of the grave of Sarah, his father's mother. And her sons and her sons' sons came to mourn over Leah, his wife, with him, and to comfort him in regarding to her. And he was lamenting her, for he loved her greatly after Rachel. Her sister died. She was perfect and upright in all her ways, and she honored Jacob. And all the days that she lived with him, he did not hear from her mouth a harsh word, but she was gentle, peaceable, upright, and honorable. And he remembered all the deeds she had done during her life, and he lamented her greatly. He loved her with all his heart and with all his soul. Okay, so that was 36. I'm gonna read 37 and I'll close out. On the day that Isaac, the father of Jacob and Esau, died, the sons of Esau heard that Isaac had given the elder portion to his younger son Jacob, and they were very angry. And they argued with their father, saying, why is your father giving Jacob the portion of the elder and pass you over, even though you are the elder and Jacob the younger? And he said to them, because I sold my birthright to Jacob for a small portion of lentil soup. And on that day, my father sent me to hunt, catch and bring him something that he should eat and bless me. Jacob came with deceit and brought my father food and drink, and my father blessed him and put him under his hand. Now our father has caused Jacob and me to swear that that we should not devise evil plans against his brother, each other, and that we should continue in love and in peace, each with his brother, and not make our ways corrupt. Yeah, so let me shine a light on verse 3. I keep showing you where when these prophets talking, these forefathers, and they referring to the Lord of hosts, they would say under his wings, right? Under his wings. So, and I asked the question, why would they say that if he don't have wings? So we right here in verse 3 of 37 in Jubilees, it says, and he said to them, because I sold my birthright, Esau talking to his sons, because I've sold my birthright to Jacob for a small portion of lentil, and on that day my father sent me to hunt and catch and bring him something that he should eat and bless me. Jacob came with deceit and brought my father food and drink. My father blessed him and put me under his hand. See that? Why he didn't say wings right here? Okay. Anyway, and they said to him, we shall not listen to you and to make peace with him. We are stronger than him, and we are more powerful than he is. We shall dispose him and kill him and destroy him and his sons. If you will not go with us, we shall hurt you also. Listen, let us send to Aram, Philistine, Moab, and Ammon, and let us take chosen men who are trained in battle, and let us go, okay, against him and do battle with him, and let us exterminate him from the earth before he grows strong. Their father said to them, do not go and do not make war with him, or you shall fall before him. They said to him, this is how you have acted when you're youth until this day. You have continued to put your neck under his yoke. We shall not listen to these words. Then they sent to Aram, and to Adulam, and to the friends of their father, and they also hired 1,000 chosen men of war. And there came to them from Moab and from the children of Ammon those who were hired, 1,000 chosen men, and from Philistine 1,000 chosen warriors, and from Edom and from the Horites 1,000 chosen warriors, and from the Kittim mighty warriors. They said to their father, go out with them and lead them, or else we shall kill you. And he was filled with boiling anger on seeing that his sons were forcing him to go before them to lead them against Jacob, his brother. But afterwards, he remembered all the evil that lay hidden in his heart against Jacob, his brother, and he did not remember the oath he had sworn to his father and to his mother that he would plan no evil against Jacob, his brother, all his days. Because Jacob was in mourning for his wife Leah, he did not know they were coming to battle against him until they approached the tower with 4,000 soldiers and chosen warriors. Men of Hebron sent to him, saying, look, the brother has come against you to fight. He has with him 4,000 men carrying swords and shields and weapons. They told him this because they loved Jacob more than Esau. So they told him, for Jacob was a more gracious and merciful man than Esau. But Jacob would not believe until they came very near to the tower. And he closed the gates of the tower, and he stood on the battlements and spoke to his brother Esau and said, noble is the comfort you have come to give me concerning the death of my wife. Is this the oath that you swore to your father and again to your mother before they died? You have broken the oath, and on the moment that you swore to your father, you were condemned. Then Esau answered and said unto him, neither the children of men nor the beasts of the earth have sworn an oath of righteousness, and I kept it forever. Every day they laid evil plans one against another regarding how they might kill the adversary or foe. You will hate my children and me forever. So there is no observing the tie of brotherhood with you. Hear these words that I declare to you. If the boar can change its skin and make its bristles as soft as wool, or if it can cause horns to sprout out of its head like the horns of a stag or a sheep, then will I observe the tie of brotherhood with you. Like breasts separate themselves from their mother or fight. You and I have never been brothers. If the wolves make peace with the lamb and not devour or do them violence, and if the hearts are toward them for good, then shall, okay, says, then, let me get it, for good, and there shall be peace in my heart toward you. If the lion becomes a friend of the ox and makes peace with him, and if he is bound under one yoke with him and plows with him, then will I make peace with you. And when the raven becomes white as razor, the white bird, then know that I have loved you and shall make peace with you. You will be rooted out, your sons shall be rooted out, and there be no peace for you. Jacob saw that Esau had decided in his heart to do evil toward him, and that he desired with all his soul to kill him. And Jacob saw that Esau had come, pouncing like the wild bull which charged the spear that is set to pierce and kill it, and yet does not even slow down. Then he spoke to his own people and to his servants and told them that Esau and his men were going to attack him and all his companions. Okay, so that was Book of Jubilees, chapter 36 and 37. Any comments on what you heard, what was read? Then you want to shine a light on? One of the things that I noticed in chapter 36 was, it's not in the King James, was Esau at the beginning recognized that he had sold his birthright to his brother. When Isaac came to give them their portions, he acknowledged that he had sold his birthright to Jacob. But that's not in the King James. Okay. Anybody got any comments? So, like I was saying, nobody had no comments. I got a strike on Prophets of Awakening, and it's supposed to last a week. So we'll be over here until next week, next Tuesday. We'll be over here on Non-Messianic channel. This is one of our sister channels. And like I said, it got videos on here, in case people didn't know, and then we have videos on Israel Wake Up. You just type that in and it'll come up. So with that being said, nobody have any comments, I'm gonna say shalom. And I'll see everybody. We got women's line tomorrow night. Men come in through YouTube. Okay. Shalom. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Shalom.
Okay.